Well, I don't think legislators are involved enough in the process. I don't think certainly that the public's involved enough in the process. I think any time there is a spending bill that's been proposed before the General Assembly votes on a spending measure, it ought to have 48 hours of daylight so it can be circulated across the Commonwealth, give our citizens the opportunity to read this particular bill and get back with their legislators and give them input and feedback whether they think this is a good use of taxpayer money, if they're in fact if they are being good stewards of tax dollars. So I think there needs to be that openness and exposure to spending legislation. I think our bills are written in a language that intimidates people who read general legislation. I know that you folks print a newspaper at a readable level that is below what our bills in Frankfurt are written at. And I think they ought to be written at the same level so people know and understand them. And I think there ought to be a limit on how many words you can actually put into a bill. It's about the people. It's not about those 138 members of the General Assembly and those folks wading through this legislation. It's about the people of the Commonwealth being able to wade through this legislation and know what our representatives are dealing with. And if we're going to write bills in such a language that they can't wade through them, or it's going to intimidate them, or cause them to not be able to get the intent of the legislation, then we need to think about that.
With the budget process itself, from your time in Frankfurt, you're familiar with how a budget is written, and more often than not, the final budget document is drafted behind closed doors by leadership from both chambers. What do you think about that process, and what changes would you make to that process, if any?
I think there is a hierarchy, so to speak, and we need to perhaps eliminate that hierarchy. I think that members of the General Assembly, all members of the General Assembly, need to know and appreciate that every one of them was sent by the people to represent the people of their district and their area, and for them to have more voice and more opportunities at engagement in the budget process is a good thing. I mean, you do have to have limits, certainly, you're not going to get anywhere, but it shouldn't be confining. It shouldn't be done behind closed doors. It ought to be a process where there is opportunity for those that are elected from wherever and whatever their position, however long they've been in the process, to have a voice and be heard. And I don't think that there is that currently. You have folks on A&R that go into the budget process and they grind it out, and once they get started down that road, they're the ones making the decision, and there's little, if any, interaction between the other members in the General Assembly. And I think that that's unfortunate. I also think that if they don't get that budget done in the time allotted, that we as taxpayers should not pay them overtime to go finish the job. It's their job to get it out, whatever it takes. If you folks don't get your job done in the 9 hours during the day, you got to stay and get it done at night. We do that in my business, so it's part of it.
You're referring to coming back in special session.
I'm referring to coming back in special session and having to pay them $60,000+ a day to do the job that they were supposed to have gotten done during the regular session.